All right, so we've been covering violence in Johannesburg's western suburbs, including Westbury and Eldorado Park, for some time now. Now, just looking at this last week, 13 people killed since last Friday. Killed. Let me correct that. 13 people have been shot in Westbury. 2 have been killed, the others injured. To discuss, we're joined by Westbury Community Leader Ronald Harris. He, in fact, is a PR councillor for the ACDP and a former MMC in the city of Johannesburg. What do you think of what the police minister is saying, that there will be some beefing up, but maybe it won't go as far as the community wanted?
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for having me, and good evening to the viewers. What the minister said today, we could have just shut our eyes and put ourselves back into 2018 and you would have heard the same thing. And nothing has happened. It's the same vapor that he gave us in 2018, it's happening now. It can't be that we promised more policemen, but the police that come would come in vehicles, ride around, and not do visible policing, which is walking the beat, looking around, stopping and searching people. That's not going to happen. I think what's happening here is that he said in his discussion that they had crafted a plan in the police station. We don't want that. I think they should have come with a plan already and said to the community, come have a look at this plan and you give us your opinion, because what is happening now is a top-down approach where they are telling the community what they are going to be giving the community and not listening to what the community is really saying in terms of the whole complexity of the situation.
It's interesting to go back to 2018 because there were plans, there were top officials involved. Am I correct in saying that the violence has actually got much worse since then?
Well, it certainly hasn't abated. We ride this roller coaster of lulls and storms. You know, we quiet and then it's busy, and then it's quiet and it's busy. But in my opinion, this is just part of a greater complex problem, where there's, in my opinion, that there's a silent genocide taking place against the colored people. And they're using these kinds of incidents to take off our minds and our focus away from what is actually happening in the country. The colored people are perceived to be excluded, so they turn to drugs and violence and all kinds of social ills to make up for where they are not being included in the mainstream economy and in the mainstream politics.
You use the word genocide. I mean, yes. That's very strong. That suggests murder.
Yes. I'm not going to withdraw that, because at the end of the day, there's a psychological and a sociological genocide taking place. If you go to any formerly colored area, whether it be in Hanover Park, Galvandale, Wentworth, Easterus, Westbury, everything is the same. There's been no development economically. There's no development in terms of infrastructure. The people have just gone more backward and backward and backward, and now drug dealers have become the employers of choice.
I mean, I was going to ask you, we know this is a very violent country, a lot of drugs. We know about apartheid spatial planning. We know about joblessness, extreme inequality. But we don't always see this level of violence, the running gun battles on the streets. So you're saying that is linked to the exclusion, the sidelining of a whole community? The
perceived sidelining. Because that
by the people themselves.
By the people themselves. I mean, if you take, for instance, right here in this building, when I come in right from the gate up until here, I don't think I've seen one colored, white or Indian. So pardon me, you are white, I think. But I haven't I haven't seen one. It's only black in here.
Yeah.
Now, what happens to our young people who have aspirations to get involved in the television industry? They excluded. Our kids can't even get into the University of Johannesburg because even though it's just 9 kilometers away, there's no space for them there. So what do? And our kids are exuberant, they are full of energy, they are creative, they are bright. And if a drug dealer comes to you and say, listen, you can't get a job in the main economy, let's start a black economy, or I've got a black economy going. I'm going to give you X amount every month or week, and you'll sell for me. Obviously, they're going to do that because there's no other way. I mean, if you look at what's happening in the Johannesburg Stock Exchange, those companies are sitting on trillions of rands of cash. and they are not reinvesting, creating jobs, creating employment. And our young people are just saying, well, what is the best thing to do? And then they fight for the corners, they fight for the lucrative spaces to do their dirty deeds.
The police ministry was talking about an operational response to the violence, including the SAPS units, crime intelligence, public order policing, the technical response team, and the anti-gang unit. I mean, it sounds like half of South Africa's force is on the ground, and we can't believe that this is still going on. So you're saying there are police officers on the ground, they're staying in their cars and just riding through. They're not interacting, they're not finding out who's responsible for what and how it all works.
Well, I think if you look at all of those people that you've mentioned, great on paper. In reality, there's a massive trust deficit between the community and the police. So they can bring the whole army of police there. But if the people do not trust the police, if the people just see police as part of the problem, then they're certainly not going to be impressed by the numbers of people they're bringing there. They should be bringing the head of the NPA. They should be bringing the head of the Hawks. They should be bringing what is an oxymoron, this crime intelligence unit. Those are the people that should be coming out there to fight this fight in Westbury, not the people riding around in 4x4s. We need more of those people that are there, but walking, doing door-to-door searches for these firearms and things.
And would it be easy? I mean, does the community know that the drug dealer who was killed, do they know who the culprits are? Do they know who the kingpins are in the different gangs? Is it easy to get that information and sort of start opening the can, as it were?
You know, if you were to walk around Westbury, you ask any 12-year-old child, they will be able to tell you who is doing what, where, and when. The place is seeped in social ills, but the people know exactly what is going on there. They'll be able to tell what is happening. But because
so why aren't the police officers on the ground in local stations addressing that, using that information?
Well, this is the problem. They are perceived to be working with these negative people. And
we've heard those claims.
Yes. So if they come and tell and say, Mr. A or Mrs. A has got X, Y, and Z in a home, rest assured, before the sun sets, somebody will have known who has reported them.
There was some community activists outside the police station saying that the commissioner should go. You didn't agree with that. Just sum up very quickly what has happened since then. I mean, this was even before the last weeks of violence. Yes,
I think what happened at Sophiatown, where people put up a tent there, was really just a clone of what happened in Eldorado Park. I didn't agree with that, for one, because the police are supposed to be doing their job. That's why they have human resources management within the police services. They have metrics that will be able to measure the performance of station commanders. And I don't think it's a place of citizens to want to have police removed. That's why I didn't agree with that. However, having said that, I think it's the responsibility of the police to carry out their constituted mandate to provide security and safety to every citizen in this country. And we should give them the space to do that. I think that what the police need to be doing is to help us to restore this credibility that we've lost in them. They need to help schools go to early childhood development centers, primary schools, talk to the children about the police so that we can get the police into our heads instead of waiting until the policeman appears and then we only act in a lawful manner.
Yeah, and it should be a partnership, surely, between law-abiding members of the community and the police. We have to end it there, but hopefully we can talk again about your claim that coloured communities are really feeling like they are still on the outskirts of South African society. That was Ronald Harris, a Westbury community and political leader.